An effort to help former offenders reintegrate back into the society, the founder and the director of Clean Slate, Brian Francis, has set off on a 1,000-mile bike ride from Nelson Mandela's house in Vilakazi Street in Soweto, and he's finished his journey in Robben Island yesterday. The project relies on funds from different sectors, including local and national partnerships between churches, businesses, as well as government. To tell us more about this initiative, we're joined by the founder, Brian Francis, and he joins us live from our studios in Cape Town. Brian, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, Brian. And how are you feeling? It must have been quite a difficult ride, that anyone can ever take. And Leanne and I were joking about it earlier on, saying that it's at Khaful, and that's your palm.
Yes, it definitely did, yeah. But I have to say the cream that I've been given seemed to have helped a lot.
Yeah, but talk to us about the experience. Was it just you, or did you perhaps have your fellow cyclists along?
Well, starting off from Soweto, it was just myself, solo, no backup drivers, nothing, just me as in Brian alone. I was joined yesterday afternoon by a group of cyclists from Cape Town that are following me on Facebook, and they decided to join me as I came into Cape Town.
Yeah, beautiful. But why did you choose to depart from former President Nelson Mandela's home in Vilakazi Street in Soweto to Robben Island?
I mean, if we look at a symbol of hope, then it definitely has to be Tata Madiba. For me, the fact that he has, spent time in prison and being able to come back and become the first black president of our country, that is, for me, symbolizes hope. And that hope is the same hope that we want to give to ex-offenders, that, just because you've had a prison sentence doesn't mean that that's the end for you.
Yeah, and as I said on my introduction, that this is of course for a good cause. Talk to us about this project, Clean Slate. Did your time perhaps in prison inspire you to start this initiative?
Well, no, I haven't spent any time in prison myself. The most I spent behind bars was about half an hour to 45 minutes for a speeding offense. But I'm working in England at present with ex-offenders, and that has inspired me to come back to South Africa and come and set up a project to work with ex-offenders here. I firmly believe that it is time for me to come back to South Africa to come and do this work here, because our people, a lot of us usually rely on the government to do things for us. But I believe it's not just waiting on the government, but it's us getting up of our backside, stepping out and make that difference.
Yeah, and really, if you were to compare what happens there in the United Kingdom and back here at home, talk to us about the differences and the experiences and your observations overall.
Well, I'm going to have to be honest with you. In the United Kingdom, what happens is, we get the funding from the government, but with that comes a lot of red tape as well. And the difference really is not much, except for, when the young offenders come out of prison there, they come into a system where they are supposed to be helped. And where here in South Africa, we have offenders coming out of prison. They've responded to good programs inside of prison, but when they come out, there's no form of support, and not long after they find themselves reoffending and back in prison again.
Yeah, and as far as I remember, the Department of Correctional Services has a similar program whereby they're trying to reintegrate the offenders back into the society. But the problem in most cases is with the communities where they reside. They're not willing to take them back. So how's this initiative helping in, talking to the communities to see that they are reintegrated back into the society?
Yeah, I think that is a very good question. The one thing I believe in is, as humans, we are quick, to accept and receive mercy when it's given to us. But when it's our turn to hand that back, then it's a bit of a struggle. And I firmly believe, if we as a society can change our mindsets and our attitudes towards ex-offenders, I think we can help them work into a better life, not just for themselves, but for their families as well as society. And that's why I firmly believe in a partnership between churches, religious organizations, government, and businesses.
Yeah, and you said the nicest thing about this program back in the United Kingdom is the fact that there is sufficient government funding on it. Here at home, I know that your project relies mainly on funding from churches, from society and organizations. So it must be quite difficult to actually carry out your mission.
It is. Along my route, I found, I stopped over in a few towns and I found a few charities. They are really trying to do their utmost best to sow into the communities. One such program was in Richmond. It was a Hope South Africa scheme, and they're really doing an amazing job. But they're struggling with funding, and there's no real input from government. And I firmly believe, it's time to sit down for organizations to sit down with government, businesses, and other organizations, and see how we can work together to make this thing happen in South Africa.
And ordinary South Africans, Brian, how can they become part of this beautiful initiative?
I think apart from funding, I think every one of us in South Africa can play a part. And I think if people just change their mindsets towards projects. Not long ago, someone joked on Facebook about the R2 that KFC always asks you. R2 is not a lot to part with, but that R2 that you're parting with makes a massive difference. Yeah. And I believe as a society we really need to change our attitudes towards other people, underprivileged people, and people in need.
Yeah. And in terms of feedback, are you getting some positive feedback from those who have been helped?
Yes. I've been coming back and forth now for the past 14 years, and I've built good and strong relationships with organizations in East London. And I usually come down and do my part, to sow back into the community. And the response is usually amazing. I remember one prison visit. And the guys, actually, when we went into prison, the guys were really grateful. At the same time, there was not really much of a hope for them because they didn't really see much outside of the prison walls. But there's a great response.
All right. No, let's leave it at that, and all the best going forward. So when are you going back to the United Kingdom?
I'm planning on going back end of February just to go and tie a few knots and then come back to South Africa again. All
right. Thank you so much. That's Brian Francis. He joined us from our studios in Cape Town, talking to us about this initiative that's called the Clean Slate, where he was on this ride from Vilakazi Street in Soweto to Robben Island in Cape Town, trying to raise some funds for his project. All right. Let's take a quick break here on Morning Live. There is still one more item to come before we say goodbye.